What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Sloppy Saturdays. And today we are going over our Week 3 slate. Now, this Week 3 slate absolutely delivered. We had a ton of great games. We had some upsets, and we are here to talk about it all. We're going to talk about the four major games, in my opinion, that took place on this Week 3 slate. If you guys want my opinion on any other games, comment below. Of course, I will definitely give that to you guys. We're going to start off in chronological order, and we're going to start off with this Clemson-Georgia Tech game. Now, we have told you guys over the course of this college football season that even in the offseason that Georgia Tech was one of the most underrated teams in the country, if not the most underrated team in the country. We made a video for you guys last week saying between Clemson and Notre Dame, these were going to be must-win games for them, and we made those videos because we thought one or possibly both of those games could result in upsets. And what happened in this slate? Both of the games resulted in upsets. Like I said, we're going to go over Clemson, Georgia Tech first. Now, in my opinion, like I said, I think Georgia Tech has a great formula for winning football games. I think they are very good in the trenches. I think Haynes King is an absolute dog. What he's able to do in the run game with his size, when it's a go get it down, he is able to get it. What they have in the run game in Jamal Haynes and in the passing game as well. He's not a guy that really makes crucial mistakes. And I believe that was the difference in this game. When we look at Georgia Tech, they get up to a 13-0 start in this game. And I think that is major for them. Now, one of the key turning points in this game for me was actually Clemson's last drive. Clemson's last drive, they were able to put in a touchdown at the end of the second half. I thought that was crucial because there was a play in that drive where Adam Randall ran for 30 yards on a 3rd and long. It was about 3rd and 18, 3rd and 20. He ran for 30 yards. I thought that was a crucial moment in that game to get Clemson back in the game because that drive resulted in a touchdown when if Georgia Tech could have just got that stop, they would have got the ball back with time and up 13-0. Clemson ends up putting in a touchdown there. They go in 13-7. Now, Cade Klubnik throws an interception coming out of half. Georgia Tech punts. Clemson gets a stop, and they get a touchdown to make it 14-13. Now, my issue with Clemson is Dabo Swinney has said it that they don't have that type of urge this year that they should have, and maybe after being 1-2 to start the season, they might get it. But I feel like this Clemson team just stalls out on drives. Like, let's look at it. They go down 13-0. They score at the second half to make it 13-7. So they basically stole out for almost a whole half against Georgia Tech scoring. Then, like we said, they go up 14-13. They stole almost all the way again, get a late touchdown in this game, eventually to make it 21-21. And this defense that's supposed to be phenomenal, with a TJ Parker, with a Peter Woods, with a Terrell, can't get a stop against Georgia Tech. And Georgia Tech ends up winning with a long field goal, 24-21. Their kicker is long in that game, career long. Again, I thought Georgia Tech has a formula for winning football games. And I thought they were one of the most underrated teams in college football. But I thought in a matchup with Clemson and for certain other matchups for Georgia Tech, the talent would just win out. And we see it in Cade Klubnik. 2 crucial mistakes in this game. A big fumble and a big interception. Where on the other side of the ball, Haynes King with Georgia Tech with a great formula on offense doesn't make any crucial mistakes. These are tremendous. Now, you could say in the first 3 games, they didn't have Antonio Williams. Antonio Williams could arguably be Clemson's best player on this whole roster. We had him coming in as a top 5 receiver. But you have to figure out ways to win football games, especially against a Georgia Tech where, like we said, you have blue chip NFL talent compared to Georgia Tech, and you still can't get it done. I really don't want to hear excuses for this Clemson-Georgia Tech game. A lot of this has to fall on Dabo Swinney again. This was supposed to be the year with all these players pushing their experience in their last year, the amount of experience, blue chip NFL talent coming back. This was supposed to be the year Clemson was supposed to be a title contender. And they flat out just looked bad in all games. And like I said, completely stall out for halves of football games. When we saw against LSU, they were up 10-3 going into the half, getting the ball out of the half. Didn't score for the rest of that game. When we look at the game against Troy, they go down very early. End the half, 16-3. Like, again, you're just stalling out in drives. And then in this Clemson Georgia Tech game, you go you start out in a 13-0 deficit. Again, I have major question marks for Clemson. And we said, like in going into this week, this was a must-win game for Clemson. They go down 1-2. Again, even if Clemson was to win out, are they guaranteed a spot in the AC Championship? I don't know. Georgia Tech's undefeated right now. Miami's undefeated right now. Both those teams look great. Are they guaranteed a spot in the AC Championship? And how much is the football committee going to be willing to put a team with 2 losses, even if they do win out in the college football playoffs in the ACC? Like, are we really going to put a second or third team in the ACC? There was 2 teams last year. Again, Clemson was able to win the ACC championship with 3 losses last year, and SMU had a significant record, but I just don't know. I don't know. I think Clemson's on a hot seat. And again, we were expecting a Clemson team to win out. Yeah, they could be a favorite in every matchup, but this is still a team that has to play a Florida State team that has looked very good. This is a team that still has to play a South Carolina team that we know the talent they have. So for us to just assume that Clemson is going to win out after being 1-2, like, Clemson is on a major hot seat. This was a must-win game, and once again, Cade Klubnik just can't get it done. And again, I hate saying I have regrets, but I do regret a little bit buying into the juice on Cade Klubnik, somebody that I was never ultra high on, and I boosted him up because I thought this Clemson team really had the experience, talent, and the formula to come back and be a national championship contender. And I know it's cliche, but they really just don't have that dog in them. Like I said, the amount of times that Cade Klubnik stalled out on drives in the first 3 games, and then this defense, who has so much talent, lets Georgia Tech go right down the field. I get it. Georgia Tech's kicker hits a career-long, a fire drill type of play. But again, this Clemson team in gotta have it situations, they just can't do it. On both sides of the ball, they just can't do it. Again, do I really give them much flack for losing 17-10 against LSU? This LSU team is really good. But again, 10 points, nothing in the second half. And then against Troy, in my opinion, I thought they looked horrible. I think that's a game you're really supposed to spank Troy. No matter how much people say Troy isn't a cupcake, they stalled out the whole entire first half, 3 points and a half against Troy if you're Clemson. Disgusting. And then this Georgia Tech game again, you go down 13-0 right away. You take a lead 14-13, stall out again. Again, your pedal is just never on the gas all the way through with this Clemson team. And like I said, I do understand you don't have your number 1 target, arguably your best player on your team, in Antonio Williams. But against Georgia Tech, even against Troy, that you came out with a win, you got to find a way to look more impressive. I mean, you have the talent favor on your side. And it just doesn't seem that way. I thought another major play in this Clemson game, there was a play to extend the drive on 3rd down where Brian Westco Jr. had a first down that he dropped, resulted in the punt. Again, this Clemson team and gotta have situations. I just don't trust them. I agree with Dabo Swinney that they just don't have that like rat type of poison to, really kick themselves and get into gear. This team has a ton of talent when you go across the board. I don't know. And I think we might have just bought a little high on Cade Klubnik this year. Again, the amount of stall-out drives that he has, can't figure it out without Antonio Williams. Again, a guy going into this year that was a first-round NFL talent, and now he's dropping massively. This was a gotta-have-it game for Clemson, and they don't get it. Like I said, they're in a horrible spot, in my opinion. They're going to have to win out. They have 2 pretty decently tough games on the schedule against Florida State, against South Carolina. Let me look at the rest of their schedule as well. I mean, they play SMU. After you saw the first 3 games for Clemson, a guaranteed win against SMU, against Louisville. Like, again, you could see Clemson right now dropping any of those 4 games, and they would automatically be out of the college football playoffs. If they win out, they have a chance. But again, you're leaving it in the committee's hands as well, and the rest of the ACC hands if you're even making the ACC championship. This Clemson team has been a complete disappointment. But along with a ton of quarterbacks and a ton of other teams, again, we've seen a lot of disappointing starts in college football. But to say I'm shocked, no, because like I said, I made that video this week saying that this was a must-win for Clemson, and Georgia Tech's a really good football team at home, and I could see them being upset. But again, if you're Dabo Swinney, you're Cade Klubnik, you're this Clemson defense, you got to be kicking yourself because you know you have significantly more talent than Georgia Tech. It's just in that game when it comes to executing, when it comes to avoiding crucial mistakes, Georgia Tech was just more well prepared, more well coached, and played that game a lot better, in my opinion. And like I said, Georgia Tech isn't a team with, I think, top of the line talent. I think they got a dog at quarterback. I think Jamal Haynes is a great running back, and I just think they have a formula to win football games, and they're dangerous for any contender to play. Can they make the college football playoffs the way they play football? Yes, I do think they would be one of the first teams out. I don't think they're a true national championship contender, but the way they play football, they are a very good football team. Now we're going to get into Tennessee, Georgia. Tennessee, Georgia, in my opinion, was arguably, possibly the best college football game we will see all season. You're talking about a 44-41 overtime win for Georgia. And I really want to talk about in this game, who do I take away from this game, given more credit to as a football team? Now, for Georgia, we have said it time and time again. I think not Kirby Smart, I think Kirk Herbstreit said it in the game. Georgia's a team that is just phenomenally coached when they're facing adversity. When Tennessee came out in this game with the start they had, first of all, you knew it was going to be cinema when you saw Tennessee with a quick touchdown and Georgia with a quick touchdown right away. You knew this game was going to be cinema. 8 minutes in, 7-7. But Tennessee comes in with 2 more touchdowns to make it 21-7. Tennessee came out firing in Knoxville. The place was absolutely live. Joey Aguilar in his first 3 drives looked completely phenomenal. He couldn't miss a pass. He was really executing on all cylinders. But like I said, with this Georgia team, when they face adversity, I absolutely love them. Because they come down, really, after Tennessee scored 21 points in the first quarter, Georgia's defense clamped all the way down. I get it. It's a 44-41 game. But you have to give Georgia's team a lot of credit on their defense, because Tennessee didn't score till the end of the third quarter, pretty much, after starting out the first quarter with 3 touchdowns. Now, I thought Gunnar Stockton played phenomenal in this game. I'm not a huge Gunnar Stockton fan. He goes 23 for 31 for 304 yards, 2 touchdowns. And you're talking about a Georgia offense where nobody exceeds 100 yards total in that game. So, again, we said it with Georgia's team to have a ton of good players. Anybody going to stand out and be that elite option? Nobody really did today, but in this game. But I thought Georgia, again, team effort was phenomenal. And then when you look at Georgia facing adversity, we saw a crazy catch by Brazel. His last catch, it was tipped and caught for a touchdown in the third quarter. So we see in the third quarter, Tennessee have a huge catch there. Tennessee ends up going up 38-30 in the fourth quarter after another touchdown as well. And this is what I talk about, where Georgia absolutely faces adversity and seizes the moment. We saw Gunnar Stockton on a 4th and 6, essentially for the game, down 8, makes his best pass of the entire game to London Humphreys, absolutely dropped in the bucket, and you're still down by 2 at this point. And on a quick out, which I believe was a perfect play call by Kirby Smart, really unguardable in a 2-point conversion type of sense, a short quick out to the most explosive player on the field, Zachariah Branch, for the 2-point conversion. Like, Gunnar Stockton has guts. He has balls again. Like I said, to be down 21-7 at one point in this game, come back. Georgia's defense definitely did their job, getting 2 interceptions against Joey Aguilar in that span. And then also you have to keep in mind, being down 8, 4th and 6 for the game, he gets his best pass of the game, like I said, to London Humphreys in the bucket. And then that 2-point conversion as well. Gunnar Stockton had absolute ice in his veins. And then obviously Tennessee has a point in this game to really take over. We see the field goal that they go for. They go for a 42-yard field goal, and they miss again. Do I think that's Josh Heupel's fault at all? No. Do I think Josh Heupel put his team in position to win this game? Yeah, 100%. I love what Josh Heupel has done for Tennessee. I mean, you're talking about a 42-yard field goal for a game, a field goal that your kicker should 100% make. They miss. And then in overtime, Tennessee can't get anything going. They kick a field goal. Georgia goes right down the field on a huge run, and Nate Frazier punches it in. It ends up being a 44-41 game. So, like I said, who do I really take away from more on this game? In my opinion, I didn't see the rankings yet. I don't think Tennessee should drop much. I think Tennessee has looked really impressive in 3 games, honestly. To be able to put 41 points against Georgia, I know for a time period, like I said, Georgia's defense really clamped down. But to be able to put 41 points, I still think Joey Aguilar looked really good. I mean, the difference was he did throw 2 interceptions in that game. He did make mistakes, but I mean, a team that put up 72 and 45 before that and then puts 41 on Georgia again. I think Tennessee looked way more impressive than we thought coming into the season. Again, losing their quarterback, getting Joey Aguilar late. They've looked really good. Chris Brazell probably was. Oh, sorry about that, guys. Just completely knocked over my mic. Chris Brazell looked like the best player on this field when we looked at 170 yards, 3 touchdowns. He was a complete game changer. I absolutely love the way Tennessee looked. Tennessee was in position to win this game again. Chips just didn't fall the right way in the end. But like I said, I really love what I saw from Tennessee. A team like Georgia that people had in the beginning of the year, all throughout the year so far, the first 3 weeks, as a true national championship contender. And Tennessee, with the turnover they had late at the quarterback position with a lot of question marks, their offense has looked completely phenomenal. Their offense has looked better than it has ever looked under Nico Iamaleava. And they really, really, I know, could have, would have, should have. They could have beat Georgia. I take a lot away from Tennessee in this game. I think Tennessee really has looked good. And then when you get into Georgia, I think Georgia there's a lot to take away from them on this game as well. When you play an SEC matchup on the road, a team very talented like Tennessee, when you go down, like I said, multiple times and face adversity, that builds you in a national championship run. Now, again, I still have question marks against, elite teams. Who's going to step up for them on offense? Is it going to be this team effort every time? I'm not 100% sure. I really take away from Georgia as well because Gunnar Stockton looked really good in the big moment. Again, I was nervous with Carson Beck leaving. I thought it was going to be a significant downgrade in quarterback. I'm still not 100% sure on Gunnar Stockton, but again, I thought both of these teams really looked phenomenal. And I think from where we had them in the beginning of the season with their question marks, they answered a lot of questions for us. Again, this is one of the best games we'll ever see this college football season. And I think, again, Georgia, the way they faced adversity, I know I'm getting repetitive. I thought they looked phenomenal from that. Again, we saw last year against an Alabama team when they went down. They came on the wrong side of it. But, again, they go down big early, away, SEC matchup. I thought they looked really good. Gunnar Stockton, complete ice in his veins, like I said. And Joey Aguilar and Tennessee's offense, again, really put themselves in a position to win this game as well. It all comes down to a kick, 42-yard field goal. They don't get it. They get on the wrong side of overtime. But again, pretty even matchup. I would not mind at all if we see this matchup again in a college football playoff format. But both teams I thought looked really impressive in this game. Then we're going to get into the other upset that we had that was a must-win game. We are talking about Notre Dame, Texas A&M. Notre Dame loses 41-40. And I told you guys, I was all over Texas A&M spread. I love Texas A&M. Again, I think they are super underrated. When we look at this game being an absolute shootout, I thought both teams on offense played this exactly how they should have. My biggest criticism for why Notre Dame didn't come out of the Miami game, I just didn't think they got Jeremiah Love going enough, and I think the offense should be centered around Jeremiah Love. I think CJ Carr has looked more impressive than I thought he would, being a first-time starter against these major opponents. And I honestly feel pretty bad for Notre Dame because, again, I get it, they're an independent team. I get it, they have an easy schedule. But their first 2 matchups are their hardest matchups with a first-time starter. Again, they got put in a tough situation. But again, I love how this offense is centered around the running backs. I think they have 2 NFL running backs. This reminds me of Bijan and Roschon Johnson not that long ago. You have the best running back in college football in Jeremiah Love, and you have a pretty solid NFL back in Jadarian Price as well. Both of those guys, I think they have great games. When you look at Jeremiah Love, 23 carries, 94 yards, and a touchdown. He also adds 53 receiving yards and a touchdown. So he has 2 touchdowns, about 150 total yards. I thought he looked great. Jadarian Price also puts in 2 touchdowns, has 68 yards. I love Notre Dame's game plan, centering their offense around the running backs. I believe that's what really faulted them in the Miami game and didn't get them going till late, is that they didn't center their offense around their running backs. I believe their offense was predictable in the Miami game with the amount of screen passes they were going for. And again, I think if you want to win games for this Notre Dame team, CJ Carr, again, has looked impressive, more impressive than I thought he would. But it has to be around Jeremiah Love and Jadarian Price for sure. They put up 40 points. Again, this game in the end really showed ice in both teams' veins. Notre Dame has a 75-yard drive. Jeremiah Love puts it in. And then we see with 2 minutes, 40 seconds, Texas A&M gets all the way down the field on a fourth down for the game. They go to their tight end in one-on-one. They win 41-40. Now getting into Texas A&M in this game, I have a lot to say about Texas A&M. I think Texas A&M is criminally underrated. I think after this game, they have really put the college football world on notice. And I think arguably they have the most explosive offense in the country. I know that's a bold statement, but I said it. I think they have the most explosive offense in the country. When you look at Marcel Reed from when he came in last year and got to only throw 2 passes in one of his first starts and rushed for 3 touchdowns, couldn't pass the football, and now he's throwing for 360 yards against Notre Dame. Again, it is mainly because this team arguably has the best wide receiver duo in the country. It is absolutely ridiculous. Mario Craver, oh my Lord. Mario Craver is having the best start to the season out of any college football player in the country, in my opinion. Against Notre Dame, 7 receptions, 207 yards, and a touchdown. This guy has about 450 yards and 4 touchdowns in 3 games. Criminally underrated. Again, where did this come from? I don't know. A freshman from Mississippi State. He exceeded his yards and touchdowns from last year already, pretty much. Absolutely ridiculous. And then we know the talent of Casey Concepcion as well. 4 receptions, 82 yards in this game. Le'Veon Moss, again, in short distances and goal line, he is automatic. He puts in 3 touchdowns in this game. And I believe the way this offense is set up with 2 absolute X's at receivers and a good running back in Le'Veon Moss, it has excelled Marcel Reed development as a quarterback. Now, he did throw an interception in this game that was pretty bad. And also, I believe he missed 2 touchdowns. One to Casey Concepcion that would have been like a 90-plus yard touchdown. He just flat out overthrew him. And one to Knobloch as well that I believe could have been a touchdown too. He definitely missed throws in this game. He was 17 for 37, which is under 40%. I'm not saying that he played the best game he could have possibly played, but Notre Dame was absolutely testing him. They wanted him to pick them apart in the throwing game. And I believe he did that at points in this game. Like, it comes to the point where he wanted to be a quarterback that's known more for passing than running. And Texas A&M said, you know what? In the transfer portal, we are going to get you guys so you could develop as a quarterback. And I believe that's exactly what's happened. Who knew at the end of last year that Marcel Reed was going to throw for 360 against Notre Dame? It's because of the receivers, honestly. Like, these receivers, when you have a Mario Craver and a Casey Concepcion, 2 guys that are number 1 receivers in the country, like, these defenses cannot hold them. They just absolutely can't. And it forces Marcel Reed to step up in the pocket and throw the football. And he did that at points in this game. Again, I think this Texas A&M offense has a ton of talent. I think they're super underrated. And I think this team is only going to improve as the season goes on because I think Marcel Reed's development and becoming more consistent as a passer with more weight he has on the shoulder now with the weapons he has. Again, I think he's only going to improve with these guys as the season goes on. And I think their defense is only going to get better too. I said it, their defense has looked really bad in the first 3 games, but this defense has talent. I think they're only going to be better from where they are now. I absolutely love this Texas A&M team. I'm so happy they won this game. And for a team like Notre Dame, they are on the ropes again. They are 0-2. I believe their 2 hardest games came at the worst time in the beginning of the season, but they do have the ability to win out. Now, again, if they win out being an independent team with 2 losses, are they going to be able to make the college football playoffs? That's really the discussion. Again, I think it's going to be up to the committee, and I think it's also going to be up to who are the back-end teams that make the college football playoffs at that moment in time. But I do believe they have a chance. Again, like we said in our previous episode, this was a must-win game that they lost at the last second. It was crucial because now you're putting it in the hands of the college football committee. But again, with how notorious Notre Dame is, with how much the college football playoff definitely wants them in it, being a 2-loss team, I think they would have a shot if they were to win out. But now, like I said, they have pressure to win out after being 0-2. And even if they do win out, it's not a guarantee being an independent team. Again, another game that could go down as a top 5 college football game this season. Game that comes down to a fourth down. Marcel Reed ices the game to his tight end. Again, Texas A&M, get on them because they're only going to improve. Like I said, one of the most explosive offense in the country. I still think Notre Dame is a really good team too. Again, the one thing that benefits this Notre Dame team is that they lost both their matchups very close. So I think that does help them a little bit. But again, 0-2, have to win out, and still not a guarantee to make the playoffs. Again, this is why that was a must-win game. Then the last game we're going to go over, and we're going to go over very quickly, is this LSU-Florida game. Now, this LSU-Florida game was a disappointment for me personally in all aspects. I wanted this to be a game where LSU's offense gets going, and they really didn't. They put in one touchdown on offense. I believe this offense really had one good drive. And I have question marks for this LSU team right now. Now, I believe it's a little bit better than my question mark in the beginning of the season. My beginning of the season question mark was the defense because of the last 2 years, how bad LSU defense has been. This defense is absolutely flying around. They got 5 picks on DJ Lagway, which we'll get into in a little bit. But the offense, again, 20 points on this offense, and it really wasn't even 20 points because they got a pick 6 on defense, 1 touchdown drive against Florida. We're looking at an offense right now that's averaging 20 points. Again, Garrett Nussmeier, a guy that I believe is a top 3 caliber quarterback in the country, but hasn't looked ultra impressive. When we look at the LSU Clemson game, he got it done in the second half, but again, had 3 points in the first half, took him a little bit to get going. In their last matchup against a cupcake, Louisiana Tech, they only scored 20-something points. Offense didn't look explosive. And this game as well, really didn't do much on offense. He threw a pick. I have question marks for this LSU offense right now. An offense that I thought was going to be phenomenal. Caden Durham has 93 rushing yards in this game. I still think he looks really good. But again, you have Aaron Anderson. You have Xavion Thomas. You have Barry and Brown. You have Nick Anderson. You have absolute 4 track stars on this offense, and you're still averaging 20 points right now. Again, I have question marks for this LSU team for sure. The defense is absolutely flying around. I thought it was super impressive to get 5 picks on Florida. Again, it was a little inflated towards the end of the game while things were just being thrown up, but still 3-4 picks against DJ Lagway, whatever you want to call it, realistically, so impressive. And they were missing their best player on defense, arguably, with Weeks 3 plays in when he got ejected. So this LSU defense is absolutely phenomenal. It could contend for one of the best defenses in the country. But I still have a question mark on their offense with the amount of track stars they have, not be able to hit their ceiling on offense in the first 3 games. Do I predict them to come around? Yeah, 100%. I think Aaron Nussmeier, like I said, is arguably a top 3 quarterback in the country. And I think the receivers that they have that are absolute track stars, they'll figure it out. They're 3-0. They got time to figure it out. But when we get into DJ Lagway, 5 interceptions. This is really bad. This is really bad. And we have seen it. Again, we said Garrett Nussmeier hasn't looked as impressive. But again, they're 3-0. We've seen it with Arch Manning. We said it previous to this episode with Cade Klubnik. We are seeing time and time again where we are giving a lot of people flowers way too early due to physical ability. And we're seeing a lot of people flame out right now in college football. A lot of the people that everybody thought that were going to be top QBs in the country that had all this talent, not saying they don't have all these physical gifts, but they have not been able to put it together. Now, I thought Florida as a team that can make the college football playoffs was absolutely ridiculous because I still didn't think they were a top team in the SEC with their improvements. And we said, DJ Lagway last year had turnover issues, had significant turnover issues. We saw a game against Tulane where he made multiple turnovers that was really bad. And this game reminded me like that as well. And it's very similar to a Bryce Underwood. A lot of these young quarterbacks, you see a play or two where they do something that nobody can with their physical gifts. You see a phenomenal play, but then right after that, you see them either stall out or make a very bad decision. The development of DJ Lagway is going to be in question. Obviously, this Florida team is on the hot seat with Billy Napier. I expect him to get fired after this year. But for the expectation of this Florida team, for some people to be a college football playoff contender, again, absolutely ridiculous. With the turnover problem DJ Lagway had last year, we haven't realistically seen anything yet. this Florida team, even with its improvements, it isn't a top contender in the SEC, regardless of the quarterback position. Again, it's going to be interesting to see DJ Lagway's development throughout the rest of the season, but we're seeing a lot of people we're just crowning way too early. And I'm guilty of it again. I didn't really do it with DJ Lagway necessarily, but with other people, I'm definitely guilty of it. But this was like an all-time bad game for DJ Lagway. A all-time bad game. Again, going to be interesting to see how we finish out the season. I also think, again, I said it on this channel. You go back to multiple videos. DJ Lagway consistently injured over the last basically 2 years. Injured this whole offseason pretty much. Missed a lot of practice time. Like, I believe all this stuff comes into factor 100%. Going to be interesting to see what happens with this Florida team, with the coaching, how DJ Lagway develops. But again, a lot of question marks in this game. LSU's offense that we thought was going to be arguably the best offense in the country hasn't looked at it. Ironically, their defense looks like one of the best in the country. And then DJ Lagway in Florida, God, they got major question marks. That wraps up this episode of Sloppy Saturday, going over those 4 games in a phenomenal Week 3 slate. Drop down below your takes on all these games. And Sloppy Saturday